Hello and welcome to today's episode of Mike's Place. Um, we are going to do some. We're going to do the lesson on responsibility. Takes forever to load inside Google Documents. Um, this file is like 380 pages, and for the most part, almost every page has text on it. And it seems like it crashes the Google Documents program. So I had to stop and start putting information in other places, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. Should be on. Whoops. Responsibility. It's a long list of information going on there. So responsibility, I have the definitions for as a noun. Being responsible or obligation, and it's just saying that responsibility is defined as being responsible and doing things that you're obligated to do. Two says a thing or person for whom one is responsible. So if you were to have like another person that you care for, something that would be your responsibility. Just another way of using the word. Responsibility. Answerable or accountable as far as something within one's power, control, or management. So being responsible, you are answerable in the sense that if you make mistakes or do something wrong, like you'll speak up about it and try to correct it. You'll be responsible. That's also being accountable for any of your wrongdoings. As for something within one's power, control, or management, it's just saying that if it's your personal responsibility, it's within your individual self to be responsible for, and not like outside of yourself, which would be like a society responsibility. A particular burden of obligation upon one who is responsible. So responsibility, the burden or obligation of being responsible. Reliability or dependability. So if you're responsible, you'll be reliable. You'll show up on time, or you'll meet people when you're supposed to. You'll do things when you're supposed to. Maybe carrying out some sort of actions or some sort of work situation. You're dependable when people ask you to do something, so you're responsible. Having a capacity for moral decisions and therefore accountable. And this is just that if you're responsible, you would have a capacity for moral decisions. And usually morals are lessons taught through stories or examples. And if you have the capacity to retain that, you've listened to a lot of stories, you have a lot of information to back your actions on. And so you're accountable and you're responsible. Or you should be anyway. I mean, it's possible you're not. Capable of rational thought or action. So in rational, it just means like it's, I guess you would say that it's like a positive action or thought. It makes sense, you could say, because irrational is like it doesn't make sense, it's crazy, it's out of control. So how did I get to where I am today? Now, the responsibility thing, it goes with the relationships, but overall, like responsibility is just, I would say this is more of like a personal self characteristic, maybe. What's another good word for it? An integrated part of your integrated character to be responsible. As we go through life, we men, yeah, I'm sorry, this original program was designed for a program that was for men. So, as we go through life, we men are responsible for many things like our family ties, our goals in life, etc. As men, we are also expected to be responsible for many things like gang violence, our children, war, taking care of our family, making a living, being a role model, etc. And I just thought it was the responsibility of gang violence. Like, it just sounds kind of funny the way they worded it. We're responsible for gang violence. Well, it doesn't really sound correct. What they actually meant was that we're responsible for controlling it and making sure it doesn't happen. Under like a social structure, if the men are allowed to group up into large groups, you end up with gang violence and rape and all kinds of weird stuff. So we're responsible for war, not always, but possibly, and definitely taking care of family and children and making a living, being a role model. Definitely things that are responsible and accountable. So some of the things we are responsible for are things we took on. Others are placed on us or expected of us by society, family, etc. Can you tell the difference between responsibilities you generate and ones that are placed on you from outside influences in your life? So, this is just separating your personal responsibility, like your actions and how you respond to situations, versus the responsibility of the world around you, which is usually it's created through like laws, or maybe laws that are like governing laws or laws of physics or something like that. Can you tell the difference between responsibilities you generate and ones that are placed on you from outside influences in your life? Now, I'm going to look at the driving. Driving is a good example for this, because you have a personal responsibility to learn the rules for driving on the public roads, and outside of that, society is responsible for creating the rules that you follow. So that's just a pretty good example to where you can see that you're responsible for certain parts of what's going on, and then there is a certain amount of outside influence that is responsible for how the world around you works. Now we have response and ability. So we broke the word apart into two words here. And it is the ability to respond positively. I guess you could respond negatively as well, and it would still have a positive outcome. Like maybe like the situation with being responsible for war. So we looked at response and what was the other one? Reaction and response. So the response is more thought out, and so responsibility is the ability to act back up on your response, which is the thought out process of when you're having issues like arguing or fights, or dealing with employment or something at work or something like that. So the ability to respond positively is responsibility. Let's see what we have here. We have how we are able to respond to life's. How are we able to respond to life's challenges? There are times when we seem trapped by who we are and how we were raised. These factors appear in our environment. Our responsibility is impaired by our environment, and more so by our perception of the world, attitude. So I put attitude beside this in parentheses, because your attitude really does determine your perception of the world around you. Like, if you have a bad attitude, then like you're gonna look at the world around you as like you don't really like it. So positive attitude, positive perception of the world around you. You just see things in a better way, and you're happy. We may have been told all our lives, you are just like your father. You will never amount to anything. Your head is too big to go through the door. All of these messages and more tell us how we are perceived and how we are going to be perceived. Which that's like a type of programming where people tell you these things over and over again, and then you believe it because that's what you were told to believe. So all of these messages and more tell us how we are perceived and how we are going to be perceived. By taking charge of our own lives and abilities, we can break this cycle. Sometimes we tend to believe our own press clippings and behave in ways that fulfill others' vision of our life. We tend to believe our own press clippings. Press clippings are like news articles, so we believe what we perceive. So if we have this image of ourselves in our mind, like a news article where there's a picture and some words. If we have this image of us, of ourself inside of our mind that we're aggressive, or we're what are these other ones? You're just like your father, or you're never going to amount to anything, and so you will. You'll just believe that, and you'll accept it and go through with it, and that, like, it's basically, you have to acknowledge it's there and then change it. So the first thing to any of this is acknowledging it, which that could just be like, yeah, that's a problem. A good thing about acknowledging problems maybe would be like drugs and alcohol. So that's a perfect example. You really don't get better or get help for addiction problems until you accept that, like, you have an issue and it needs to be addressed. We have the opportunity to make positive changes in our lives. When we make changes in our own lives, the lives of others around us, anyone we are close to, cannot help but change as our attitude is reflected upon others. I would say, like, most situations that's true, but I've kind of come to see that even if you change and you act different around other people, that they can change, or they'll attack you. Like, they're attacking me now. So yeah, there's nothing else I could do. I was nice and they attacked me, and now I'm not nice. So, but I have a responsibility to not act out with aggressive behavior and to not stoop down to their level and play stupid childish games. So I have my own responsibility to uphold myself to like a standard. So I'm gonna go with that. And that's it for responsibility. That was a short little section. It's important because responsibility itself is just important. If you want a good job and you want other people to trust you and to think that you are accountable and reliable and you're dependable, you're gonna be at work every day and on time, then definitely you want to understand a little more about responsibility and carry out the actions and say the words that are that go with it. And so I will see you next time on Mike's Place. Thank you. Give me a thumbs up if you like the content, and subscribe if you want to see more, and have a wonderful day.